Gainesville, Ocala, and South Florida, welcoming you to a new edition of Meldon Law and Friends. We've got two great guests today. Terry Silverman, a famous attorney and mediator, and yours truly's wife, Patricia Meldon, who is the director of Hispanic outreach for Meldon Law. Before we get started with Terry, I want to make everybody aware that there is a huge event in Ocala this coming Saturday at the World Equestrian Center, which is an amazing facility. It's like the Disney World for horse people, and it's open now. And this Saturday, 5 to 8 p.m., Meldon Law is sponsoring the Ocala Food and Wine Festival. If you want tickets, just go to Ocala Food and Wine Fest, and you'll get the whole rundown on tickets. They are going to have music, over 50 restaurants giving away food for free. They've got free beer, wine, booze, the whole shebang. It's $75, and that includes a souvenir cup from the World Equestrian Center for your favorite beverage. Last week at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, we sponsored the Outdoor Expo, and it was a huge hit, really amazing. A lot of you that are regular viewers might recognize that we are in different digs this week. This is our first week at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Gainesville. It's an amazing restaurant. People are scrambling to get reservations in. I have a tip: if you want to get in, come early. Before 5:30, or come late after 10 o'clock. But the hours right now are 3 till 11, and on weekends 3 to 12. Right now, Spurrier's is open Wednesday through Sunday. So don't miss it. It's a museum. It's a great restaurant. It's farm to table. It's an experience just coming out here. So you guys are going to really have a blast. I'm excited to have our new podcast room here. And I want to thank Freddie Wiebe and everybody at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill for the chance to operate out of here. Anyhow, one other thing, Meldon Law Talk Live on WSKY, The Sky, is entering its 20th year on the air, and we're very excited about our partnership with The Sky. They've been great friends, and every Saturday at 10:30, 97.3 The Sky, you can listen to Meldon Law Talk Live. We answer questions for anybody who calls in, and we're glad to help you out. And if you want to, if you can't check in on Saturday at 10:30, you can go to meldonlaw.com, and on our website we archive the shows. You can also go to the Sky website, and they have an archive of our show as well. So anyhow, that's what's going on in the North Central Florida area, and we're ready to get started with our guest, Terry Silverman. Good afternoon, Terry. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Jeffrey. Thanks for having me.
Well, Terry and I go way back. I think the first time we met, Amanda Maxwell introduced us probably in 1974 or so.
That's right. Well, I was a law clerk in the building. I worked for another firm that you were in at the time in the Howard Hall building.
Yes, I think you were in Gary Moody's office.
No, actually, it was Golden and Turner.
Oh, you were clerking for Selig Golden and Larry Turner
That's
at
correct.
the time.
That's correct.
For those of you that have been around Gainesville for a while, Selig Golden was an iconic figure. They still have the award for the best criminal defense attorney in the state of Florida, named after Selig Golden, and he was a mentor for Terry, as well as myself, Larry Turner, and you know, a lot of other young lawyers that were up and coming. He was really an incredible man.
He was.
What a guy. Died too early.
Yes, he did.
But those of us that are old enough to remember, you know, can pay tribute to him. So Terry, give us a little background as far as your legal career. You know, did you open up an office shortly after 1974?
Well, actually, Sally actually helped me get a job at the state attorney's office with Gene Whitworth at the time, and so I worked as a prosecutor there for a couple of years, and then I went back to into private practice with another lawyer there in that same building, the Howard Hall building that you were in.
Yeah, so what was great is Terry and I didn't know what the hell we were doing, but they had 8 or 10 other lawyers in this one office building, and I don't know how you did it, but after work I'd go over and whichever lawyer I thought knew the most about the kind of case I took in, because back then, if you had money, I was your lawyer.
That's right. That's right.
We didn't discriminate against whether it was family law or real estate or you know, a you know, corporation or a criminal case or a personal injury case.
It was amazing, though, the camaraderie in that building and their willingness to help out and to give you advice and to mentor you. I don't know if we have that anymore. I don't know whether it's the times or whether I'm getting old or what.
Well, you know, it depends on the circumstance. Now, at Meldon Law, we certainly try to mentor our young lawyers, you know, because we've got a pretty good sized group of people there, and we actually have training protocols. But if I just opened up an office somewhere in Gainesville, it would be really hard to find mentoring unless it was an office where there was a large number of lawyers in a very small space.
Well, Jeffrey, you've always been willing. That's the one thing about it, to help out younger lawyers, to help out anybody, actually, when you think about it. You've always been pretty generous with your time and financially. I know you've helped a number of people out over the years.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I always encourage everybody to you know, go to law school, because if nothing else, it'll give you a leg up no matter what you go in, whether it's business or law or any profession, a nonprofit. My daughter's a lawyer, and she's doing great, as you know, in the nonprofit sphere of the world, and she would not have had that opportunity without her law degree, because she couldn't have even gotten her foot in the door to get the interview without it. So I always tell people, you know, continue your education and do what you can. As far as hanging in there, there's no rush. Believe me, if you're 21 or 22 years old, another 2 or 3 years of school won't hurt you. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, I like it.
So anyhow, so tell us a little bit about, you know, your career up to becoming a mediator.
Well, I did litigation primarily, did some criminal defense because I'd been a prosecutor, and then I started doing personal injury litigation primarily, and really enjoyed it. And then you know, when mediation first started, I went to a couple mediations, and I really liked it. I liked the process, so I got certified. And now most of my practice, probably time-wise at least, is doing mediations.
When did you become certified as a mediator?
Oh, God, I should have looked.
It was before 1995.
Oh,
because you were doing
Yes.
mediations when you and I shared office space.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It was about in 1995 when I got certified, now that I think about it. Originally, of course, I've had to be recertified over the years, but yeah.
So I'd like to talk about how mediation has evolved over the years. You know, you've been in it 26 years. Didn't it start like in the late 1980s, early 90s?
Yes.
And back then, some of us used it, but it wasn't nearly as prevalent as it is now.
Well, now every case, at least that's in court, that's in litigation, the judges require them to go to mediation.
Now, does that
before they
include
get their trial?
Does that include family law cases?
Yes, it does.
Commercial cases?
Yes, it does.
So so the judges don't want to screw around with a trial unless they really see if the parties can settle the matter.
Well, what kind of prompted all this, of course, was the backlog of cases and the congestion in the court. So this was helping to free up cases and free up judges' time. So because what they found was the settlement rate was so high. once cases got to mediation, once you have the parties involved, they're there, and the principals, the lawyers, and you're just focusing on that case, that actually it's a very good process. It works. I think statistically it's now 80% or something like that of the cases.
And then sometimes even the ones that don't settle might settle a week or two or three later. The adjusters might have to get
Right.
more authority. The parties may need to negotiate
Right.
medical bills or whatever the issue is.
People step back, think about what they heard, what they learned at the mediation, and yeah, I mean, it does. What I'm interested to see is, most of the time, the process used to be that they would come to your office and you'd meet in a large conference room, both sides and the mediator, and you meet together, then you would physically divide them up and the mediator goes back and forth talking to both sides privately. I have not had an in my office mediation or at anybody's office in over a year now since COVID. So we've been doing them by Zoom, and I'm curious, I haven't seen what the statistics are, whether it's whether we have the same settlement rate, whether it's still as effective not being live and in person as opposed to now being these video conferences.
I think all the norms are being broken right now,
They
and
are.
that, for example, Zoom is opened up different kinds of opportunities for lawyers not to have to go to court. In the criminal court, for example, lawyers might have to have 20 lawyers show up and sit around for 4 hours in the morning or in the afternoon, basically going through a docket call. And if you happen to be in the last few lawyers on the list, you're sitting there for 4 hours wasting time, not really being productive. Whereas now, those same procedures are being done by Zoom, and the lawyer can be productive working from home or their office. And when their case is called, the judge, it says, "We're ready for you." The lawyer is ready, and boom, everything's moving along. So I don't think that kind of productivity change is going to ever go back. You can't put the toothpaste in the tube. I don't think the lawyers or the judges want to sit around for 4 hours waiting for one
Yeah.
case to be called.
No. And insurance companies tell me, so many of my mediations I do are personal injury like you guys do. And so these adjusters, they appear where before they'd have to drive from Orlando or Tampa or Jacksonville to Gainesville to have the mediation. Now they do it from their home or their office, wherever they are. And so instead of doing one mediation a day because they had to travel, now they're doing 2, 3 a day from their home. They tell me they're getting a lot more done and they're saving money.
Yeah,
the costs.
well, I remember how difficult it was to schedule a mediation because you wound up dealing with some guy from Chicago,
Right,
on a
right.
bigger case. A lot of times you have out-of-state people, and you're trying to get them scheduled, and it's almost a 2-day out of the office deal to come down,
Right.
to Gainesville or Orlando or wherever.
Of course, some of those people in Chicago in February, they love coming down here to Florida to attend. Some of them stretched it out to several days.
Well, we can, if you're an insurance adjuster and have a lot of authority to settle big cases, we will make arrangements for you to have a great time in Florida. So come and visit us. Anyhow, we're getting ready to take a break on Meldon Law and Friends, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck.
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault.
it's not, no,
I am
it's not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy
no,
lady
wait,
here,
honey,
this crazy lady, he might... New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We got to take a tour of the restaurant. What do you think, Terry?
Unbelievable. I had not been here before, Jeffrey. I've not seen a restaurant like this, obviously in Gainesville. It's fabulous. And the kitchen is probably bigger than my house. It's quite a place here.
What's amazing is, we're here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Restaurant, and this is our guest, Terry Silverman, well-known attorney and mediator. And he got to get a tour of the restaurant, some of the behind-the-scenes things. And this is really a one-of-a-kind restaurant that is going to really attract people not only from Gainesville, but the whole area and from, all over the state of Florida. I can imagine when we have a big game that this, big home game with the Gator football team, this place is going to be mobbed.
Oh, it would be a madhouse.
They're already booked up until October 6th if you want a dinner reservation. However, they're open from 3 till 11 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday and Sunday 3 till 3 to 11 on Wednesday and Sunday, 3 to 12 Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you come early, you can get in, and if you come late, you can get in. So you do yourself a favor, come out, check us out at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill at Celebration Point. So anyhow, Terry, we were talking about mediations, and what I wanted to do is to discuss a little bit about the process, what goes on. What goes on during a mediation? Most people have never been in a mediation, so they don't know.
Well, it's a confidential settlement conference, and that's part of what I think makes it so effective is that it's off the record, so to speak. Everything people talk about in there can't be used as evidence later on if the case doesn't settle. So it gives people an opportunity to talk freely about their case and to be candid and forthright about the different aspects of the case. So my role as a mediator, all mediators, is to help the people sit down and kind of explore their case, to take a look at it. I'm like a fresh set of eyes on the case, and to look at the good parts, the not so good parts, and to figure out the risk that they're taking by taking the case further and going to trial. Because as you know, Jeffrey, anytime you go to trial now, you have 6 strangers on there that are sitting on the jury. You don't know how they're going to, what they're going to decide. So at the mediation, it's truly up to the parties to decide themselves, how do we want to get this case settled? And so, but the process really, Jeffrey, in my opinion, starts before they show up that day. What I've always thought your firm does very well is preparing ahead of time. The worst that I've done over 2,500 mediations, is when lawyers come in and they haven't provided enough information to the other side to help them evaluate the case properly to set the stage for getting the case settled. So what you have to do in these cases, in personal injury cases we're talking about, is the lawyer for the injured party has to provide all the information well in advance. What are the injuries? What are the medical bills, lost wages, all those factors that insurance companies look at in deciding how to settle the case. And so the process really starts ahead of time, setting it up, make sure they have enough information that they're prepared to get the case settled, because the insurance company has to get the authority to settle the case. And you want them to have the most authority possible when you're representing your client, obviously.
A lot of people don't realize that when the adjuster comes into the mediation room, and we're talking about insurance company adjusters, even if the case is being litigated, they usually don't even tell the lawyer who's their lawyer representing them what their authority is.
No.
I think the reason is because you and I got to be good friends with the defense lawyers, and they don't trust the defense lawyer.
Yeah.
He might say, "Oh, we got." They may not say how much, but they may give us a wink, saying,
I hear it every week. An attorney says, Terry, I don't know what we've got today. I guess we'll find out, as we progress in this. But yeah, it's often not shared with the defense attorney.
And you're absolutely right that the preparation for a good mediation starts the day the attorney gets the case. You absolutely need to be able to give the insurance company a reason to put a lot of money on the case. We know at Meldon Law what insurance companies are looking for, and we also know that if the mediation is in a month from now, we better have gotten all the information to the insurance carrier earlier, because they don't have just one person decide. If it's a big case, whoever the insurance adjuster is on the case may go up 1, 2, 3, even 4 levels, and have
Even have claims committees look at it. And
explain how that works.
well, what I've seen now is, so you have insurance adjuster have a certain, they can offer up to a certain amount. Then they have to go to their manager to get more authority. Then that manager has a supervisor. And then when you get the really large cases, they get evaluated by a committee, a claims committee, to decide what the settlement range should be. And so, but going back to the process of the mediation, so when they get there, both sides talk about their cases from their perspective, and then you go back and forth the mediator meeting privately, Jeffrey, and that's when the mediator really is, has his work to do, his or her work to do, is helping them understand the pitfalls, the good parts, so both sides recognize the risk that they're taking by taking it further, and evaluating the case. What is the liability? What are the damages? Were the injuries caused by this accident? Those are all the factors that you have to look at, and what is the likelihood of getting a verdict beyond what I'm being offered? And then how much is it going to cost me to wait a year to get my case to trial? Is it better settling now and knowing that I have a settlement that I can live with, or do I wait and take that risk down the road? There's a whole bunch of factors. It's very interesting.
On TV now, we see all kinds of ads saying, I got, $1 million, I got 800,000, I got, $1.5 million. And as you know, very, very few cases, are $1 million cases.
Correct.
Do you see any clients coming in, or clients or people in mediations coming in with unrealistic expectations being set by some of these lawyer ads?
Well, I don't know if I can attribute to the ads, but yes, I do all the time. Unfortunately, occasionally I see the claimant's attorney, the plaintiff's lawyer, that hasn't prepared their client for, their expectations are too high, and then they expect the mediator to try and tamp down those expectations. And that's the hardest part of the job. The attorney has told him it's $1 million case, but he really only thinks it's a $10,000 case, and they want you to go and explain that to the client. You have to be realistic when you take a look at these cases, and you have to have your client be realistic, and to not expect $1 million in every case,
What are some of the funniest things that have happened to you during mediations?
I'm trying to think of something really funny. Let me think about that, Jeffrey. I'm trying to think whether I could divulge any of that.
Well, now, if folks want to contact you, it's Terry Silverman. You've got a law practice. What is your phone number and website?
Well, the phone number is area code 352-377-0770, and the website is GainesvilleLaw.com. I'm really lucky. I got that website from a client I had who was doing this before I even knew what this was. He said, someday you're going to appreciate that I got this website for you.
So again, it's
It's GainesvilleLaw.com.
Yeah, and the phone number?
352-377-0770. 0770.
Okay. So GainesvilleLaw.com, that is an excellent URL. And but I went on Terry's website, and he's got a lot of good stuff that you can read and get some idea about the mediation process. What percentage of cases do you think actually get to court versus, at some, from the start of a personal injury case or other cases, what percentage do you think actually wind up going to a jury and getting a verdict?
I hope this is right, I think it's less than 5%.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say it may be a lot less than 5%.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that insurance companies tend to put their top dollar on the case the closer you get to trial, as a general rule.
Correct.
Unless they find something in the discovery process that blows up the case. But that's the outlier. That's not the norm.
Yeah.
So now what about commercial litigation? Basically, you got a bunch of businessmen fighting over something.
Yeah, and those can be, almost like a divorce. I've done several where the longtime business partners had a dispute, and now they're, arguing over things, and sometimes it can get quite emotional, believe it or not. You would think, being business people, they wouldn't, they step back and make a business decision, but they can be almost, I don't do any divorces, but I understand that they can be like that.
Well, it would seem to me that it would get emotional because, Joe may have started the business and then Jack came in and Joe feels like, well, I started it, and Jack goes, well, I took it from nothing to something, and then they've got, emotional investment in, their pride of, what they did, their contribution, and certainly money is, important. But
And
when
it's understandable, and you have to, in the mediation, you have to recognize that and recognize why they are acting like they're acting.
So, do you take psychology courses to get all this insight?
No, but
perspective?
every year I have to take, you have to get recertified, you have to take continuing mediation courses, and so you hear all this, you have diversity courses and that sort of thing, and to help you to understand. And it's, I think it's, I hate to say this, but I think it's maybe a better person. I don't know. But, I try to be empathetic and sympathetic and understand why people are acting the way they're acting.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us on Meldon Law and Friends to give us your insights, Terry, because people that don't practice law every day have no idea of how cases get resolved for the most part. And the mediation practice is really become the norm.
Yes.
The judges go, you guys go to mediation. I don't care if it's, a personal injury case, a family law case, a commercial case, or any other kind of case. Statistically, most of those cases can get resolved.
Yeah.
So, it's like, why wouldn't the judge want to order a mediation first?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyhow.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much for having me. I got to see the restaurant. I've really enjoyed this. I hope you'll have me back sometime.
We will, Terry. It's, you're a longtime member of the Gainesville, North Central Florida community. And we are going to get ready for our next guest, Patricia Melden, our Director of Hispanic Outreach. And Terry, thank you again for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck.
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault.
it's not. No,
I am
it's not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy lady here, this crazy lady, he might...
New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Melden because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
The Meldon Law Firm from the beginning has been built on giving back to the community. I enjoy coming to work as much today as I did in 1971 when I opened my practice. I don't look at this as a job. I look at it as serving other people. While we're alive, what better feeling can you achieve than knowing that you've helped other people and thereby you enrich your own life? The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we. We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Melden, founder of Meldon Law. As a matter of fact, I wore my pin here that says I've been a member of the Florida Bar for 50 years, and I'm very proud of it. I went to a ceremony in June down in Orlando when the Florida Bar had their annual convention, and we had a really cool banquet and saw some old friends, and it's a big deal. Being a member of the organization for that long means a lot to me. I'm working on getting my pin for 75 years in the Florida Bar. That's my next goal. So anyhow, we've had a really good first half of the show. Terry Silverman and I, by the way, we shared office space together for many years. We've been personal friends for 48 years. Our families have grown up together. So it was really a privilege having my, old friend Terry Silverman on the podcast. And I would highly recommend that anybody who has a mediation consider using Terry. He's got a lot of experience. He said he had over 2,500 mediations, and you learn a lot through experience. So again, Terry Silverman, phone number 352-377-0770 for any mediation need. Today, we're very lucky to have my better half, my wife, Patricia Melden, on the show. And Patricia is also the director of Hispanic Outreach at Meldon Law, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
I haven't seen you for an hour and a half. How are you
That's okay.
doing?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. I feel very honored. This is a very special podcast, and thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Let's talk a little bit about, the Hispanic outreach in Meldon Law and some of the things that you're doing to let the Hispanic community know that, we're here to serve them.
Well, Elio is my other half in the making all
Elio
the-
Piedra?
Elio Piedra.
So those of you that don't know who Patricia's talking about, Elio is, what's he say? Bring the fiesta. I
Yeah,
think,
he bring the fiesta to you.
to you. And
Yeah.
he's been all over North Central Florida for the last, 4 or 5 years and really making a major impact as far as the Hispanic community. And Elio has a podcast as well that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
on, right?
Yeah, I'm on his podcast every Wednesday, and of course it is in Spanish. And, we promote the law firm, and we talk about interesting things that maybe people, they're not aware of. When you have an accident, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, because sometimes the don'ts are more important than the do. So don't talk too much. Just say whatever you needed and keep it, zip it up and talk to your lawyer.
That's it. Now, Elio, you guys have a lot of fun on that show too.
Yes, and lately there is a lot of going on with Cuba. People are taking over the streets. They want to get rid of the system that, of course, is not working, and they claim that they are the best, but they're not. So now we are talking in order to, make louder the voice of Cuba. And of course, we are both Cubans, and we are deeply connected to the community. And we want everybody to know what's going on, and you always can do something. So we are working very hard, and we're pointing out things that are happening because there is no internet now in Cuba. They block it, the government. So the only way that you can know what's going on is by the videos that people are sending here and then. But it's, very risky for them because you know what happened in communist countries. They just shut you up and end of a story.
Yeah, I know. I was in Havana in 2016 with some friends, and my friend's daughter, who was in her late 20s, wanted to communicate with her friends and would have to go to an internet cafe in order to buy minutes to use the internet. And it was very interesting because the internet cafe was jammed.
Yeah.
Now, what I understand is the government has shut all that down.
Yeah.
So the people, particularly the young people of Cuba, who got used to getting information from all over the world, are now isolated, and it's much more difficult.
And even though I don't think that it's 100% freedom in Cuba towards the internet because they filter a lot. I don't think that freedom is like a luxury. Only the people that they are connected to the government, they have access. And of course, it's corruption and blah, blah.
So you were born in
Guantanamo.
So you're a Guantanamera.
Yes. I don't know how Guajira I am or how much Guajira I am, but I'm second generation born in Cuba. My father's side, they are from Istanbul, and from my mother's side, they are from Spain, both.
And so your family was in Cuba, Guantanamo, and they fled after Castro came in, right?
Yes, we were lucky enough to get a visa to Venezuela. And back then, in order to be in Venezuela, you have to touch 2 countries. Because back then, it was Betancourt, the president, and he was very anti-communist.
So if you came from Cuba, you had, I think what 2 countries did you wind up going
You
to?
forgot. Now
No,
he's in
Mexico,
trouble.
Mexico and Dominican, right?
No,
Which?
we went to Jamaica,
Yeah,
we went to Mexico, and then to Venezuela.
and then to Venezuela.
Florida.
And so Betancourt was the head of the president of Venezuela at the time?
Betancourt, Rómulo Betancourt.
Okay, so what he said was, if you touch 2 different countries, then he felt better letting those people come in.
Yes.
Well, good. So you wind up in Venezuela. What part of Venezuela?
Caracas, the capital.
The capital, the biggest city in.
Yes.
And what did your family do when you got to Caracas?
Well, my father at the beginning, he was selling fabrics. Then they got a store. And in the meantime, they were working on a rubber business, manufacturer. And we did so, and we still have them, but I don't know until when. And it was a prosperous business, but it was always a challenge, work with the government, ruling and all this, and game changes every left and right. And it was very hard. But today's date is even harder because they don't help you. I mean, the government, they want to, I don't know how people survive in Venezuela because the coin, for example, when I left in 2000, it was 700 bolivares per $1.
So the bolivare is the currency.
Yeah, bolivares, yeah.
And when you left, it was in
It
what
was,
year?
the exchange was 700 bolivares per $1,
And when was that? What year?
2000.
In the year, so 21 years ago, it was 700 bolivare equaled $1. What's it now?
Okay, this is the best part. Today, it's over 3 million, and we have had 2 devaluations of the coin, so you have to add to those 3 million 6 zeros.
Wow.
It's like hyperinflation, that's not the word. I don't know what is a bolivar. People with the print bolivares, that the highest bill, the denomination was 100. They can stamp, use it as a wallpaper. They do handcraft, whatever, because it's nothing. It doesn't matter how much you have.
So you could take a wheelbarrow full of bolivare to the bakery, and you couldn't have enough to buy a loaf of bread.
Exactly. Even more. The last time that I was in Caracas, this is in 2019, we went to the beach. And, when you go into the beach, there are people that they are selling cocadas. Cocadas is the coconut shake, which is delicious. And they have a sign. They accept transfers. They use Zelle. Zelle, the transfer that Bank of America uses.
You mean like a bank wire transfer?
Yes, and even to another banks, Venezuelan banks. So even they use the banking here in the United States.
And so if you want to buy a $7 or $8 item, you might do a bank transfer on that?
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, that, I hear about, this at home, but it's been a very, very, it's been a negative experience for what was the richest country in South America, Venezuela, because Venezuela has these rich oil reserves.
The third country.
However, as I understand it, the oil reserves are not being utilized for the benefit of the people.
Actually, it should have because in 1974, Carlos Andrés Pérez was the president, and before it was private, the exploration and extraction and gas and all that, and then he nationalized that industry to benefit the people. And it did work for a little bit, even more. Before Chavez, PDVSA, which is the company that runs the oil industry in Venezuela, it's called Petróleos de Venezuela. It was among the first 3 companies better run worldwide.
Wow.
Today, I don't know, it's like 1,000 maybe, in negative.
In negative.
In negative.
Well, we're here on Meldon Law and Friends with my wife and Director of Hispanic Outreach, Patricia Meldon. And we are going to take a short break, and we will be back in 60 seconds. When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. 2 forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck.
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault.
it's not, no,
I
it's
am
not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy lady here, this crazy lady here might...
New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. We are at our new headquarters at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Gainesville, Florida, and we want to welcome everybody. Remember, you can catch us on Facebook, Meldon Law and Friends, or go to YouTube for video as well. And we're on 39 audio platforms, so just about any audio platform you use, you can catch Meldon Law and Friends. Today's episode or any in the past, we've got them all archived. I think we're somewhere around week 43 or 44, and we keep cranking them out. I think we're going to have a big party when we hit 52, so that should be in about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, 3 months. Anyhow, we are ready to get back to our very special guest, Patricia Melden, who is our Director of Spanish Outreach, Hispanic Outreach at Meldon Law. I want to remind everybody again, the Ocala Food and Wine Festival this Saturday from 5 to 8 o'clock at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala. It's going to be a huge event with music, 50 restaurants preparing food. There's going to be beer. There's going to be wine. There's going to be booze. And it's all included in the price of $75. And Meldon Law is sponsoring the event. And we'll have our booth out there with a lot of Meldon Law swag. So come and visit us. We're excited. Meldon Law Law Talk Live. Meldon's Law Talk Live is entering 20 years on the sky. Tune us in this Saturday at 10:30, 97.3 The Sky. So that's some of the things going on this week. And again, come out to Spurrier's. It's open Wednesday through Sunday. Come early or come late because it's all sold out during the middle hours, but it's open 3 till 11, and on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 till 12. And you're in for a treat. Again, I'm here with my wife and my partner in life, and
The boss.
the boss, Patricia Melden. Boss,
Yes, sir.
tell me more about when you left Venezuela and moved to the United States and where
Okay.
you moved.
Well, Chavez took power in 1999, and what I saw, I didn't like. I remember my dad saying, this is the same speech of Fidel Castro, only 40 years later. And I didn't want to live in a country where you couldn't have your freedom of speech. I mean, Venezuela always was a very violent country. You always have to walk and look behind your shoulders to see that nobody was following you. And that got worse. And I remember being in business, the first 15 minutes of every conversation was talking bad things about Chavez and how could that happen, and this is not going to last, and this is not, and blah, blah, blah. You get tired of that, and something that is very negative, you cannot promote it that much, but you couldn't stand it. I mean, and I felt repulsive, that's the word, towards Chavez. And I could not understand how a man that with such a lie after lie could get the attention of the people. And I say, that cannot be true. I mean, you cannot build a country just by destroying whatever it is. I mean, things were not perfect, but they were not that bad.
But you know, your family had a prosperous rubber manufacturing business. I know you
Yes.
early in your career out of college, you went to what, FIU in
Yes,
Miami?
Yes, FIU.
So you decided that you wanted to return to Miami, right?
Actually, that was my plan B, but my plan B became my ABC plan. So,
So what was your original plan?
as a Cuban born, I have the right to claim my permanent residency by the Cuban adjustment law. If you are born in Cuba or your parents are born in Cuba, and if you enter the country legally, and if you stay 1 year and 1 day, you are entitled to claim your permanent residency. And that's what I did.
So you have priority because of the Cuban adjustment law.
It was a trade because of things that happened in Cuba, and that's part of the story. But I was not planning to stay. I was planning to get my residency and go back to my life.
And you had Becky and Zachy, your two twins,
My
right?
twins, they're
Yeah.
going to be 30 this year. Yay!
And so they're what, eight or eight?
They were 8 years old.
Yeah.
And they speak nothing, not a word of English.
So you pack up the kids and move to Miami with the
Yes.
idea, well, we're going to stay here for a year and a day.
A year, no, a year, 2 years maybe because of the paperwork and all that. But my plan was to go back. I had a business, a house, a good life. And I never went back because it happened September 11.
So September 11th, 2001,
Yes.
World Trade Centers are attacked, and and all of a sudden the immigration system is turned upside down, and to be
You know
able
why?
to. Pardon?
You know why?
Why?
Remember Mohammed, the guy who was the captain of that event?
Yes.
When he was dead and he killed over 3,000 people, his student visa was renewed.
Oh, after 9/11.
Yes.
So the immigration system was obviously
They said,
broken.
something is not working here. So they shut down immigration for a long time. I
And-
don't remember exactly.
And what was your plan B that you went with?
Well, back then, I have to made up my mind. If I would have gone back to Venezuela, I couldn't return in 10 years because I overstayed my length of time permitted under my visa, which was 6 months back then. But I
Right.
stayed a year. And I remember asking my lawyer back then, should I apply, for an extension? And the lawyer says, keep quiet, don't make a lot of noise, because if they do not renew it or extend it, you have to go.
And you didn't want to go back at
I
that time.
couldn't. And then I stay, and then that happened, and I decided to stay. So then I opened a business, and I stayed, basically.
And when did you become a United States citizen?
In 2014.
2014 or,
Yes.
or
Oh, 2000, no, what I'm saying.
2006?
2006, you're right.
2006.
Yes.
And as I understand it, the kid, well,
They
your
were 14
kids,
years
they
old.
were 14 years old.
Yes.
So what were they born in, 1991?
Yes.
Okay, so 2005, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And so long as they were under a certain age, they also got automatic U.S.
The
citizenship?
day that I saw my citizenship, that day my kids became as well American citizens.
Wow. Well, and I know they're glad. Becky wound up going to Syracuse and is now a famous architect working on the Israeli National Library. A huge project and incredible experience for her resume. And Zachy went to the University of Florida.
Yeah,
he's a
he's a
Gator.
Gator.
He's a Gator, and he lives and works down in Miami now.
Yeah. At least I have one close and the other one not that close. Only 12 hours in an airplane.
However, the fact that you wound up becoming a U.S. citizen opened up all kinds of avenues for your children as well.
Yes, thank God.
And then the greatest thing that ever happened in my life was meeting Patricia a little over 3.5 years ago. And we wound up getting married, let's see,
Okay.
June of 2019.
What day? What
June,
day?
June 30th, 2019, at the,
How about
well, we got married at the new museum, and it was really pretty cool. That if anybody's been to the Cade Museum, it's a spectacular museum that the inventor of Gatorade, Robert Cade's family, started, and it's become an innovation museum. I found out last week it was Fibonacci Day last Thursday, and we won't have another Fibonacci Day for 80 years. And the Fibonacci ratio is repeated throughout nature in the pine cone, the seashell, and a number of other objects of nature. And the museum is designed after the same ratio. I think it's something like 1 to 1.61. And to give you some idea, the ratio of your shoulders, from one end of your shoulder to the other end of your shoulder, and your arm from your shoulder down to your finger should be 1 to 1.161. So anyhow, that's what I know about it. So Patricia, tell us a little bit about what it's like moving from Miami, which has a huge Hispanic population, to Gainesville, which has a growing Hispanic population, but is certainly much different than South Florida.
Well, to start with, I love Miami. Miami is like my second home, or away from home. And I've been there, 20 years? And very vibrant city. Ethnicities are all over. Colors. I mean, you can be in a store and then all of a sudden you're listening like German, Russian, whatever. And it's very nice. I mean, it's very interesting. You know a lot of people that they enhance your culture or your desire to know more about that. And then when I moved here to Gainesville, I really love it. I have to thank you for bringing me here. People are nice, people are sweet, and they care. Even if you are, like in the garden pulling out the weed, always somebody has to say something nice to you. It doesn't matter what. But that's very nice. That talk very nice about the people and the environment. And I think that it's healthier to live without the stress that you are in Miami. I mean, I used to be a realtor in Miami. And if I have to show a property in Coconut Grove, it was like 45 minutes to an hour from my house. So that's not nice.
Yeah, I know. It's like we go down to Miami because Patricia's son and friends are down there. My daughter, grandchildren are down there. My son Carrie's down there. So we go down there. We keep an apartment down there. So we enjoy going to Miami, and we have a great time there, but we really do not look forward to the traffic.
We are happier when we come back home. We say,
So
"Good."
if anybody's complaining about Archer Road or Newberry Road traffic, go down to Miami for a week, and you'll
Yeah.
come back and you'll go, well, this isn't that bad.
I know.
We really have enjoyed, meeting a lot of Hispanic people. The census came out, and between Gainesville and Ocala, there's over 80,000 Hispanic people. And just in our neighborhood, we have the Ibanez on one side are Hispanic, and then we had...
We lost one, but some other will come back.
our good friend Lorena.
Lorena, we miss you.
Yeah, she's from Ecuador, and she moved out. She got a college professor job up in Clemson recently, and we lost her. But it's amazing how many Hispanics there are in the Gainesville community, and it's rapidly growing.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even know that they're Spanish, and then you realize that they are. It's like a surprise for you.
So what we want to do in Meldon Law is come up with some innovative ways to reach out to the Hispanic community and let everybody know that no matter what your background is, no matter what language you speak, we're here to help. If you call our office and you primarily speak Hispanic, we promise that my wife, Patricia, will be glad to get on the phone and talk with you if you have any questions. We have Yolanda in our office who's fluent in Spanish. She came from Miami.
Sierra.
And Sierra.
Yeah.
So we have lots of Spanish-speaking people, and we want to, encourage everybody to join us.
And those that they don't speak Spanish, they are learning.
Correct. No matter what language you speak, we will help you at Meldon Law. If you've been in a serious accident, you let us know. Gainesville, Ocala, South Florida, we are here to help. Anyhow, I think we are running out of time on Meldon Law and Friends. We're very, very excited. We've got some great guests coming up next week. Again, we remind you the Ocala Food and Wine Festival this Saturday from 5 to 8 at the World Equestrian Center. Go there. It's going to be a special event. And next week, we will be back at 1 o'clock on Tuesday Live. And you can pick us up on whether it's Facebook or YouTube or 39 other audio platforms. Thank you again for listening to Meldon Law and Friends.